People love to argue about media, what's good, what's bad, and what's objective truth. But the idea of objectivity in criticism isn't just complicated, it's been twisted, misunderstood, and in a lot of ways, abandoned. Talking about art now feels less like a conversation and more like a fight over who's right, and that says a lot about where media discourse is headed. So, we need to figure out what objectivity is. To clarify, objectivity is the practice of evaluating or presenting something based on observable facts, measurable data, and verifiable evidence, not on personal feelings, preferences, or opinions. In media discussions, objectivity means assessing elements like technical execution, examples like sound mixing, animation quality, and camera focus, internal consistency, examples like plot holes and continuity errors, and functionality, examples like whether a game crashes or if your controller inputs are lagging. Saying this audio is poorly mixed and the dialogue is hard to hear is an objective observation. Saying I don't like how the scene sounded is a subjective one. Both are valid, but they're different tools used for different parts of the conversation. The confusion starts when people try to use objectivity to make grand sweeping claims about a work's overall value. I've seen some argue that objectivity is just the collection of shared opinions, a group consensus masquerading as a fact. But that's not how it works. Consensus can reflect trends or popular opinion, but objectivity is grounded in evidence, not how many people agree with you. When I say that the animation in Akira is objectively on model, fluid, and technically masterful, that is a fact. You can measure it. You can study it. Whether or not you like that animation style, however, is where subjectivity steps in, and that distinction matters. So, where's the problem? It's in how we talk to each other. In online media spaces, two extremes have risen up. One, people who treat their opinions as objective truth, weaponizing taste and belittling dissent. And two, people who believe that liking something means its flaws don't matter and that any criticism is hate. Before anybody gets mad at me though, make sure you watch my video on subjectivity because more of my points are clarified and I'm not going to be repeating myself much. Both approaches shut down any meaningful conversation. They treat discussion like a battle instead of a dialogue. And when the goal becomes defending or tearing down art at all costs, we lose the nuance that made criticism valuable in the first place. Let's take a step back. Why are people getting so defensive? Because media is inherently personal. Good stories resonate on a deeply human level. They reflect our hopes, our fears, our relationships, and values. In a world that feels more disconnected than ever, it's not surprising that people turn to media as a source of identity and comfort. Fandoms form, friendships are built, and for some, characters feel like family. But when that bond becomes too strong, it can cloud our ability to see critique as anything other than a personal attack. And I've been on both sides of this. Criticizing something and being met with hostility, and being the person who was overly harsh in their delivery. From experience, that's never productive. Criticism should be about the work, not the person who enjoys it. If someone dislikes something you love, it's not a threat, it's a perspective. And yes, the reverse is true as well. If someone loves a work with visible flaws, that doesn't make them ignorant or stupid. Every piece of media is flawed, and everyone is allowed to love flawed things. Being aware of those flaws doesn't make your enjoyment any less valid. Now, to illustrate this better, let's look at Hell of a Boss. Objectively, the show has great voice acting on most of its cast, and the use of lighting and framing is incredible. The writing also has a lot of character inconsistencies and holes in it. The public consensus says that Hell of a Boss is a mediocre show, riddled with flaws, and generally has bad writing, but has a lot of potential as well. Subjectively, I like Hell of a Boss. I love Octavia's character arc. I think Stolas is poorly written and a bad person within the story, but is still my favorite character. You see the difference? Those are three separate perspectives: factual analysis, public opinion, and personal feeling, and each has its place. That's the heart of this discussion. Objectivity doesn't invalidate passion, and passion doesn't erase objectivity. The healthiest media discussions happen when we balance both. So how do we move forward? Start by being curious instead of combative. If you feel yourself getting heated, step away. Go outside, touch grass, talk to someone face to face. The internet will still be here when you're ready to come back with a clearer head. And when someone is being unreasonable or cruel, block them, mute them, and walk away. You don't have to win every argument. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. And most importantly, remember, empathy goes a long way. Everyone's carrying something you can't see, and giving grace costs you nothing. If a critique feels personal, ask yourself why. If a conversation gets toxic, disengage. And most of all, don't confuse critique with cruelty or praise with perfection. To wrap all this up, you're allowed to love broken things, and you're allowed to be critical of beautiful ones. Objectivity isn't the enemy of passion, and passion is not a shield from criticism. Media is meant to be discussed, not worshipped or destroyed. So let's stop treating every disagreement like a war and start treating it like an opportunity to learn, connect, and maybe understand each other a little bit better. Be honest, be curious, be kind, and let people like things. Thank you so much for watching.